Hello and welcome to the Royal Survivor 45 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, King, joined here by King's mom.
Hello.
How are you, Mom?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, and we're fresh off the merge episode of Survivor 45.
Yes, episode
It's
6.
a pretty good one, if I do say so myself.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
So, as we always do, the fallout of Tribal Council. We're sitting down on the current Bellow tribe, where Brando just got voted out.
Right.
Emily sided with Drew and Austin to vote him out, leaving Kendra the only one out. And
Down and out.
Yeah. She is super bummed about what happened. She thought she was blindsided.
It was an open mouth.
Yeah.
Oh!
Reaction. She makes those reactions a lot, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Emily telling her she doesn't see her on the bottom and that she doesn't, it wasn't really against her. She just had to make, what she believed was the right decision. And that's why they got rid of Brando and not her.
Yeah.
And Kendra, of course, tells them, it's fine. I just hope we can move forward. And then it instantly cuts to her in confessional going, I can't wait to get rid of these people because I have to just put on this nice person face, which I get. She's not happy about it. So.
Yeah. She, apparently Emily said to Kendra that she was going to vote for
Drew. Yeah.
And told Drew and Austin she was going to vote for Brando and that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And then now we know. And that's Survivor.
Right. For what it's worth, I think she made the right choice.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where this goes.
For her game, I believe she did.
I think so too. Yeah. And we know a lot about the boys having all their advantages and stuff. So you'd rather be in their good graces than against them, right now, anyway. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was that. I don't know if there's any other notes before what actually the big event, the merge actually happens.
Well, there's stuff before that.
Okay.
I think like Lulu, it's day 12, and they're all looking for an idol.
Okay.
Except for Katurah.
Right, which is foolish.
And then Bruce finds Beware advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And that advantage tells them to dig under their, I think, where they sleep.
Yeah, their camp. It's it's in the middle of their shelter, basically, buried. And everybody but Katurah knows because he shares this with everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And so as soon as he starts to try digging there, Katurah walks up, and he can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
But then Jake, this is why I have a note about this. I thought this was really funny. Jake, the guy from Boston, he's the guy that's been falling,
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't happen this time.
I thought it kind of did. After the challenge, when they come back and clean off, I thought when he was getting out of the water, he fell, and I'm like, is that him getting dragged by the water, or did he fall again? I think he just got dragged by the water, but it looked like it scared me. I'm like,
I didn't notice it like it was one of those again.
I don't think he blacked out like he did before. So,
but anyway, he's sitting like in their shelter, and he's like, oh, I lost one of my rings,
right?
Which I thought was great. And he's digging in the sand,
and he's like, and if they see it.
Winking at Caleb and winking at Bruce, and they're smiling at him, So that's why I made a note of it. I thought that was clever.
It was, yeah, because if you watch him dig, it doesn't look suspicious anymore because he's looking for something. Yeah, no, that was very smart.
So now we're to the merge.
Okay, they all get their tree mail or whatever that says. Well, so everybody's going to Reba. That's what the Reba, they say, get ready for your guests. The other two tribes says you got 10 minutes to grab your stuff. And that's where Bruce is panicking because he's running out of time, but he does dig and find it. He gets it. So,
right.
So Bruce now has an immunity idol.
Right.
Well, he has the one where you have to keep sacrificing your vote. Well, actually, no, it didn't say that.
I don't think so.
I think he just has a regular immunity idol.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think their camp... there was already one on there that Sabaya had, and she went home with it. So now it's just a regular immunity idol. It doesn't have that risk to it anymore.
Yeah, I don't remember a risk.
And they're merging, so I guess you would only have to sacrifice your vote once anyway. So they probably just scrapped that for it, and it's just an immunity idol.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do have to say the immunity idols, their production has really gone down on them. Like, I don't know if it's because it means players making fakes are easier or what, because it'd just be really cool. They had some sort of like relic or even just like bone symbol on it or whatever, and they look pretty cool. Or jade statues. Now it's just like string of beads. It looks like if they tore apart their bags. So
yeah, you're right. They are. It looks like what a kid would make in kindergarten.
Yeah,
like you said, string and beads. Maybe the only thing I can think about that is that they're easier to hide.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. It always seemed weird to me because it's like they used to look so fancy or whatever, and now it's just like they hold it. It's like a little string or whatever, and it's like a stuffed animal
it's not very impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird, but either way, as long as it works, that's all that matters.
Right,
so.
right.
So they merge, and we got 13 people on one beach.
Right.
So, well, technically they're not merged. They're all on the same beach. They're all on Reba. Everybody's reconnecting and everything. Of course, and so we have 6 Reba, 5 Bello, and the 2 Lulu.
Right.
Which
Caleb and Emily.
Caleb and Emily are very happy to see each other. And
yes.
Full on telling each other we're sticking together. You know, they trust each other and everything. The although all of Reba gets back together, it's mainly the 4 of Dee, Julie, Austin, and Drew saying like we're back and we're gonna, because the girls are very happy to see the guys come back. So and they're gonna stick together. Yeah. For now anyway. We'll see what happens. Bello is very all over the place for a bit. They talk and whatever, but as people start talking, like Caleb, he's going to everybody. And that's noted specifically by Bruce because he says nobody is talking to him at all. Not even his past tribe mates.
Right.
The only one who ever seems to walk up to him is Kelly at one point. And I don't even know if she walks up to him or he walks up to her and says, nobody's talking to me. And he starts getting like angry about it. And he sees Caleb and he's like, I know what he's doing. He's trying to make everybody like him because it's only him and Emily. And he's like, we got to get rid of Caleb. That's what he starts saying. And he starts getting all huffy and puffy and kind of a little villainous about it almost. And then that leads to Katurah, Kelly, and a couple others going, oh, we should just get rid of Bruce. They start...
Okay, that's what Katurah's been watching.
The minute she's like, really? So they start thinking that. And so there's already talk about that because, you have 13 people now, so that there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to
Well, one of the things that went on was that Emily apologizes to Bruce for her comments at the very beginning of the game on the barge. She was more or less like pointing him out, going, I know he didn't last long last season, but he did play the game somewhat.
He's a returning player, quote unquote. Yeah.
And kind of pointed him out. And that's how she was in the very beginning. Everything was just blunt, matter of fact.
Analytical,
Yeah. And so she did apologize to him. He pretty much said, no problem.
Yeah. He lets it go. So. So he says anyway. He could feel differently.
Yeah.
I also know Austin gets with, or in his little group, he tells them about the amulets.
Yes.
And wanting to get rid of the other 2. Of course, they think great because it'll make his amulet an immunity idol. And in confession, Austin goes, yeah, that's great and all, but I'm just mad about I didn't get my sandwich.
Yeah.
Which I think was hilarious.
Yeah.
So he, because of the fact he didn't get that food, he has it out for and specifically Jay, who's technically on his side. So he wants her out too. So
Yeah.
So
I'm
was
not
something
a fan of Jay Myers. I'm just...
Yeah, I mean, she seems kind of like she's just there. I don't know. She doesn't like... It's not until this episode that we even get much of her. So
That's true. But even just a little bits, I don't know what it is. I think she's playing the game very strategically, but yet we're not seeing much of her.
No, I mean the other women flat out lie to Sifu and tell him, yeah, we're pretty sure Jay's the one who put your name down when he got a vote, so he's gunning for her already.
Yeah. She
was already considered the 6th out of their 6 people on Reba. She was on the bottom there. He wants her gone, even though they know Dee voted him and everything.
Yeah, right.
And it just... I think you're right.
I don't mean she's a bad person or anything.
No.
I'm just her particular... As a contestant, We're
not getting a lot, and the edit doesn't do much... doesn't do her any justice either, because we don't see a lot of her.
Yeah.
She's
not dynamic.
No.
At all.
She's very... quiet, and just like I said, kind of there. I was hoping this would be the time where she'd maybe try and do more. So, so yeah, they're all together. We can go to the challenge. I think now.
Well, I just gotta say one thing before the challenge, and that was the one day it rained.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's pouring.
Yeah, and everyone's like all huddled and they don't like it. Well, no, I don't even know if they were huddled, but Sifu, he was out there.
Yeah, he loved it.
He loved it. He's dancing around in it. He's working in it. I thought that was quite funny because normally people, they don't want to be soaked all day long.
Right.
But he's like, he loves it and that. So.
It's also, they haven't been like in the rainy season. So, because there's some seasons it rains 5-6 episodes, which is like 2 weeks straight or whatever kind of thing. That might be an exaggeration, but just constantly. Here, this is like the only day we've seen this so far.
Right,
so
right.
We'll see what happens. But, so yeah, they go to the challenge. Everybody's there. Jeff's, excited to see him. And he says, spoiler alert, you're not actually merged yet. So you're still just here. You're not in that phase. He's like, you're not in the tribal phase, but you're not individual yet either.
Yeah.
And
you're just on the same beach.
Yes. And so that means the next person who goes home also won't be making the jury. So that's something they have to worry about as well.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And so the challenge is they get into 2 groups of 6 that are randomly selected, and they have a big obstacle course of things. You have it written
One's
down.
One's out. Katora, she has to sit out.
Right.
They pick rocks.
They pick rocks. She gets the 1 rock, so she's out. So she puts her lot in with either group.
Right.
And so she can decide which one, and if whether they win or lose, she gets that. She benefits.
Right.
And of course, the winning tribe, they're all immune. They're all on the merged tribe, and they get the merged feast.
Yes, that's what they win.
So the losing 6 or 7, depending on where Katura votes, they are all vulnerable, but yet everybody will vote.
Yes.
You still have 13 people voting, but only 6 to 7 people are vulnerable.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, Katura's out. She puts her lot in with the blue group, which has... I don't know all the dynamics, but they're basically one group has a lot of the smaller women, and then one group has, like, 4 of like the big strong men.
She went with that one.
Yes.
This is the blue group.
She went with physical strength over like craftiness, basically. Because again, nobody wants to admit, oh yeah, we got this in the bag and they're screwed. Nobody says it like that. And you never know, it could go either way anyway. But when you look at the 2, the one that looks like they'll compete well in an obstacle kind of course, it would be that group. So,
right.
Because you got like Drew, Austin, and Bruce there. So, and others. But so, I don't know all the challenge stuff. They have to do a lot. They gotta like climb.
They start out with a muddy net. They have to crawl under the net in mud. And then they get one of them heavy carts. And they have to collect heavy sandbags.
And push the cart over like hurdles.
Yes.
Which is really hard to do.
And then they use the sandbags. They build like a pile so that they can climb up like a rope thing to get to this tower. And at the tower is a key or keys.
It's a key they can untangle. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have to climb up this huge ball.
Yeah, it's just a big ball that someone has to basically like step on a person kneeling there and get over them to get up there.
And that gets them up to this 2-part puzzle.
Right. And for the most part, they're pretty even, it seems. Just kind of, they're even. It isn't until they get to the ball and people are huffing and puffing that the blue group starts to take a pretty serious like advantage here. They were already pulling a little ahead with the carts because they have more muscle behind them. But it's at the ball that they're able to climb over each other. It seems quicker and more efficiently. I will note on the red group, Jake is on it. He takes off his shirt and uses it to start pulling like the weaker people up.
Yeah,
he stands on it, and I'm like, he wasn't shirtless when that started, so he's using it to like yank them up. So
yeah, I know I didn't know it was his shirt. I knew he had some kind of cloth. I actually thought it was the buff again.
Yeah, because they did that earlier in the season, and so he did that. I'm like, that was smart. And yeah, it's a 2-part puzzle. 2 people. I know Austin and Drew do the first one, and I don't know who does the first one in the other group. I think it was like Dee and Julie, actually, from that Reba 4, but...
Yeah, I'm trying to even process the first puzzle. I know what the second one was, where they have to figure out
The word.
unscramble words.
The first one,
Or letters.
it stands up, and they're really big pieces, and it gives you the clue on what the
That's
words
right.
are.
Okay, got that.
And
now.
so
Yeah.
it wasn't super complicated. It's just a little awkward to push it like together in place because it's a big puzzle.
Mhm.
But yeah, it has like symbols on it that describes what the second puzzle, which is just a bunch of lettered blocks that you have to put in the right order to make like a phrase. You know, it like the one thing I remember is it has the word WORD 4 times, and then 2 of the horse pieces or the knights in chess.
Mhm.
And so forward to knight. That's the second half of the phrase.
Mhm.
I think it's
Safely moving forward tonight.
there you go. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it. So like you have to
Yeah, 'cause there was a picture of a safe
yeah.
and a leaf.
Yeah,
Safely.
and
yeah.
they're as they're looking at the people in the groups behind the one puzzle are telling the people doing the second puzzle like what they think it is. So,
Yeah.
and yes, the blue group succeeds, which means Katura is in with them, and it's her, Drew, Austin, Bruce.
I actually have it.
Oh,
Didn't even realize.
Drew, Austin, Bruce, Katura, Kendra, Julie, and Sifu.
Mhm.
So they're all winners.
Right.
So Emily and Caleb of previous Lulu once again have to go to Tribal along with a couple of Rebas and a couple of the
Yeah, Emily, Kelly, J Maya, D, and J.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that was another. I really like those longer challenges
mhm.
with all the different things to do.
Yeah, and the 90-minute episodes help too because now we get more time with the challenge. You know, you
Yeah.
can watch more. It's like the biggest segment. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, everybody goes back to camp, and because you have 13 people on one beach, utter bedlam breaks loose. So.
Well, the ones go to the feast though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go to that first.
Yeah.
You have the 6 go, and they try and talk about it, but they don't even have much of a say because they're like, for all we know, those 7 who would never talk before as a group might just pick who it is or whatever. You know,
Mhm.
of course that's not what happens, but they think about that. And they're all bummed and everything. Out of their little group, I don't even know who they really. I know the Rebas talk about getting rid of Jay just for their own sake,
Mhm.
and then there's hints at Caleb because he's such a pleasant guy and really good in challenges.
Yeah, Kendra and Bruce were talking about
Which I already.
and Bruce was buddies with Caleb.
And that's at the feast. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was talking at camp. You
Oh,
know what they're
okay.
talking about. But yeah, we at the feast. They all just say, should we just start saying names? And yeah, specifically the Reba say we're fully willing to cast out one of our own if it has to be her because we don't trust her. Sifu don't like her or doesn't trust her. I should say. But yeah, Bruce pushes Caleb saying, I don't trust him. You know, I know he's not with me. And Caleb says, well, I don't trust Bruce because I know he's not with me. You know, and you're seeing that parallel. And so those are like the 2 main names. There's, you know, they say a few people, but it's mostly between Jay and Caleb, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So then eventually the 7 return. They all clean themselves off and everything, and the other you see just the I don't know if the loser brigade or whatever they call themselves, or the 6 like awkwardly sitting there waiting for them to show up and like talk to them, you know. So I thought that was kind of fun. It's like I feel their pain in that instance. So
Yeah.
it's like, hello, it's one of us, and we're waiting on you. So
Yeah.
and so people start, you know, all the groups start getting together and talking and everything. And originally it sounds like they're pushing Jay just because nobody trusts her really at all. Like nobody.
Mhm.
Which again leads to my point of feeling like she was just there. You know, no, she's not in close with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, however, Bruce is really hard pressed for Caleb. He starts spreading it that he's getting to know everybody. He's super pleasant. And you know, you like being around him. He's super good in challenges. Who would want to sit next to that guy at the end kind of thing?
Yeah.
Which I get. I like Caleb, so I want him to be there. But I really think, like, if I was voting, I'd write his name down and go, if I was watching you, I'd be wanting you to win. But since I'm playing with you, I need you gone.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was thinking, like, when they're playing. It's like, I feel the same way. Like, you're great. I don't want to get rid of you, but you could beat everybody here, you know, possibly. So
Yeah, it's just I want to think like if I was there, he's just so pleasant.
Right.
And I think that would be, you know, nice to have around for a while.
Yeah.
I get it. It's if you're there to play Survivor, you're there to win $1 million,
Mhm.
and yeah, you don't want somebody like that at the end with you.
And okay, you could keep him for a while, but I think what they're thinking is we're not at individual just yet. As soon as this vote's over, he could theoretically win, 7, 8 times in a row or something. Is it likely? No. But I think they're thinking he could go on a serious immunity run or something, and then by then he gets too dangerous.
So could
or whatever.
Austin.
Yeah.
Depending on what they are.
Yeah, the girls
These
can
women,
do it too. Yeah,
you know.
they've done it before. So Kelly did it, I know.
So yeah, I get it, but yet I don't want to see him go.
Neither do I. I'm just saying. I knew as soon as they got to that position, everyone would be saying Caleb because and to his deficit, he didn't help himself by like you see him sitting next to everybody, laughing, joking, and a few people go, "I see what he's doing. He's trying to get in good," and they're like, "And he is a nice guy, but it's also playing the game, so that makes me keep my eye on him too." So, it's really between him and Jay. Of course, when word hits Emily, she gets nervous for him because she's like, I'm all for voting Jay. Well, I don't want to get rid of my number one. So she tells Caleb. He freaks. So he goes to a lot of the Rebas and tells them Bruce has an idol. Of course, Bruce is safe, but he's trying to get their, benefit, and say, I'm trustworthy. So, and eventually they had to try, but I don't know if there's anything else there that you wanted to comment on.
No, the fact that Emily went to Caleb, he saved her back in the day.
They're together. And then
and she, more or less said, they all want you out.
Yeah, pretty much. So they go to tribal, they sit there, they're talking about all the dynamics, the fact there's so many people, and who do you want to get to know? Who do you have to get to know just to move forward? Jeff likes to ask his invasive questions. So,
yeah.
And eventually it gets to the point where Caleb flat out says, because he knows he's a risk, Jay, Julie, D, he believes, not knowing that they're the ones pitching to get rid of Jay, they're super together. The three Reba women are super close. And he's saying, if you get rid of Jay, it'll lower your factor. He's like, because when we get to 12, you already got a solid thing of 3. So he's trying whatever he can,
Absolutely.
to sow seeds. And Jay's, to her credit, she doesn't get like shooken by it. She takes it and then she goes, that's how you feel, huh? Interesting. She's like, because you see what he's doing, right? And she puts him on blast, so she does hold her own against him. And what I think is funny is Caleb goes to vote and he just yells, Jay! Like everybody knows he's voting her, and everybody kind of snickers, and then it cuts to Kendra going, like she always does. And I'm like, I feel like this was an unnecessary time. No, duh, he's voting for her, you know. She's the only other one like on the outs.
I think she did that because he yelled it.
Yeah.
Nobody says anything once they go up there, but he yelled it, which I thought that odd. And then I'm like, do I like that he did that?
It's a little harsh, but it's also funny harsh. So it's like...
he's trying to save himself because he knows the word's out that he could be the one.
And he says she's more strategic than I am. He's like, yeah, socially and physically, I'm a threat. He admits to that, which, how do you downplay that when it's obvious?
Yeah.
But he's like, but I'm not, he's like, when we go forward, I don't have people. He's like, you can use me. I can't sway things by myself, which is also true. So,
true, yeah.
So he really does try to save himself. So they end up voting. A note to make is Austin, he sacrifices his vote again to maintain his immunity idol to Final 5.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm.
So he does that. And so they vote, and you want to say what the move someone makes?
Sure. Caleb played his shot in the dark.
Which means he doesn't vote. He sacrifices his vote for a 1 in 6 shot. Jeff opens like a little thing, and he pulls out like a little note. Or he does it as
it's like a scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeff opens it, and it says Caleb is...
safe.
He is safe. This has happened a few times in this era where people save themselves. Sometimes it's almost unnecessary.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, everybody's like, some people are clapping just because they respect the move, and and it's 1 in 6. It's not a guarantee or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely thought he was just gonna go home and he was just gonna try it and blow it or whatever, and I was genuinely happy. And so I believe this is the case. He breaks the record because So he doesn't vote and Austin doesn't vote.
Right.
That leaves 11 votes. And they all are for Caleb.
Right.
Even Emily, because she says, as much as I want to save him, if I go against everybody, I'm on the out.
Yes.
So I don't blame her.
I don't blame her
And I don't think
either.
he would either.
It freaked me out at first when I saw. When did I see it? Before or after? No, I realized it when all of them were for Caleb.
Just Caleb,
And I'm
Caleb,
like,
Caleb, Caleb.
Immediately, I'm like, Emily voted. Oh yeah, well, if she voted for somebody else,
Well, and look,
that wouldn't be good.
if she voted for anybody, yeah, one person would get one vote.
Yeah.
However, if she did, that person would have gone home in that instance.
That's true.
But she wouldn't have known that. So,
That's-
the
yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about because the shot in the dark is a 1 in 6. So if she knows he's playing that, if he had like an idol and she knows he'll be safe, then she would have voted for somebody else, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But in that case, she just went the direction that was best for her. So you can't fault her for that.
Like she said, she can't save him.
Right. And everyone else, he's a threat. They all vote him. And so I don't think anyone has ever saved themselves from that many votes before. I believe he now holds the record. Not from an immunity idol, but still from making yourself immune at Tribal. So
yeah.
I believe the closest was Kelly Wentworth in Second Chance. She had that great play where nobody knew she had an idol. She played it and she stopped 9 votes.
Mm.
And then her and 2 other people got rid of somebody. I think it was Savage when he was being a jerk.
Okay.
So she held that record for most votes negated, and now I'm pretty sure it's him with 11.
it was an awesome moment.
It was great. I mean, everybody's just like, oh my gosh. And so and of course, this is a time, because I always tell you, I hate when Jeff asks questions at Tribal, and then they all stand up because nobody knows what they're effing doing. I hate that. How do you not know what you're doing at that point? I know
Yeah.
it's different when someone pulls out their idol and says, I'm playing this, or something crazy happens. Like in this case, because they already voted, and Jeff's like, you need a minute? And they're like, yeah. And now they're running around talking about who to get rid of. A lot of people are still pushing Jay. Jay's pushing Emily because she's on the outs to an extent too. And so that's what's going on there. I don't mind that at that point because something just shook up everything.
Yeah.
It's when they do it when they first frickin' get there. It's like, come on, people, you had 8 hours to figure it out. So
and just a note that no shots in the dark can be played.
Jeff specifies
The second
that.
vote.
Yeah, they can't play that. I don't think they play any advantages at that point. And of course, Caleb still doesn't vote because he's already immune and everything. He's
Yeah.
played shot in the dark.
Yeah.
So now that means only 5 people can get voted for at the also.
Oh, right,
So-
right.
So they vote again, and if you want to say it this time,
They vote for Jay.
yeah, Emily gets 1 vote from Jay,
Yeah.
and then everybody else votes Jay off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and she's like disappointed, but she's not angry. She's just kind of bummed because you could see as every Caleb was being deflected, she's sitting there like holding her face and everything.
Yeah.
Even though no one voted for her there, but she knew she was next. So.
Mm.
She tried, and to her credit, this is like the one episode she actually tried to make moves.
Yeah, right.
And it was just unfortunate that it was, the only episode, her last episode. So
Yeah, for me, I
was glad it was her and not Caleb. I will say that.
totally.
So.
Yeah. And I did, even though I don't, how do I want to put this? It's like, I felt a little sorry for her.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, I'm not holding blame against Caleb.
No,
Because
no.
he was just trying to save himself.
And he pulled it off.
But
so.
if he were somebody I didn't like,
Mm-hmm.
I might have been mad at him
Yeah.
for doing what he did to her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you like that, if say he was Russell in the same position.
right.
You'd go, oh, that jerk, he threw her under the bus and got rid of her and got lucky, you go that way. But instead you go, yay, he saved himself. And,
Yeah.
and that's what the show does. It creates these characters to an extent. They're
Yeah.
still real people, but even early on, they turn into characters. Hatch was always kind of villainous because you'd have everybody all happy-go-lucky, and he goes, I'm winning this, kind of thing. You got Rob Father, Boston Rob with the Italian music playing in the background as he's talking about who goes because he can't, they're with them or against them.
Mhm.
They've always turned these people into cinematic characters or whatever, to, even like Jerry says, they make her look worse than she really was, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will have to see about that,
Yeah.
but she got better.
Yeah.
And then they weren't doing that for a while. Like I said, the past few seasons, it felt like everybody's the same. Just like happy to be here. Here it feels more like we have more Survivor archetypes, you know.
Mhm.
Emily's the beaten down warrior chugging along. Caleb's the battle hardened guy that everybody's coming for. I mean, people have been coming for him for a while anyway, but you know, he's, you know, Mr. Perfect who needs to try and not look so perfect. You know, you got the nerdy guys, the athletic guys, the villainous people, the people who just won't shut up when you want them to, you know, it feels like the show's portraying them that way more so.
Well, yeah, and like you said, like, was it last season where everyone was like, oh gosh, I really don't want to vote you, but we have to vote somebody.
Yeah.
It was where everybody was nice to everybody.
And it was like sweet because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's nice. There's no hard feelings and everything. But at the same time, you people are a little boring.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, at least, you know, early on, I didn't like Jam Jam because I just found him too wet. I thought he was like charming and funny, but I kept seeing online people saying, oh, this guy's winning. And I'm like, how? He doesn't do anything. But then when I sat back and thought about it, everyone kept voting for him. And he said, he's like, the past 4 people who tried to get rid of me, they're all gone and I'm still here. Because his social game helped him get people to keep him and everything.
Yeah.
You know, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And he'd flip it on the other guys and stuff. And so I see why he ended up winning. At the same time, that you have a final 4 or 5 of just really pleasant people. And it's like, yeah, I like these people, but there's no difference between any of them, really. You know,
Yeah.
like at least Carson stood out because he was like a nerd and he studied the puzzles and stuff. But like, that's his whole thing. Carolyn stood out because she was really wacky. But again, they're all just super nice, you know? And so it's like, you don't have any dynamics. At least here, like, Bruce is a little villainous. Drew is overly arrogant, but not where he thinks he's better than everybody. He just thinks he has more power than he does. You got Katura, who I don't really like that much because she just seems so like a downer. And then you got Emily, who started out like a villain, and now everybody loves her. So,
Yeah. There you have more variety.
yeah, it seems like
You know,
it,
you
so-
got. I mean, they're all pretty nice.
Yes.
No one's really evil.
No.
But yet they'll cut a bitch.
Yeah.
when they have to.
Yeah.
You know.
And
so-
that's good for the sake of this social game. You want, as a fan watching, you want to see that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Of course, most people want to see the heroes overcome the villains and win in the end. And I've seen people say, oh, I like so-and-so. I like rooting against them. I can't wait to see them lose, but but they're entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
like Russell's entertaining, but I didn't want him to win either. So,
Mhm.
because he was such a crappy person, you know. Rob's a villain, but you wanted him to win. So at least we did.
Rob's a villain?
It depends. How do you word it? He's like, it depends on your perception of the person. Yeah. Even Tony, you know, to some people he was a villain, but he was so quirky and funny that it was like, I liked this guy and he was smart.
Plus, he's a cop.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, cops are praised. You
Yeah.
know, most times.
Yeah, can
So.
be. So yeah, here it feels like this season really feels like we're getting back to like Survivor that we know and love to an extent. It's
Yeah.
always going to be a little different. It's still the new era, but it feels, because they were testing a bunch of new stuff to try and make this new era, and it's just like, it felt so dull to me. That's why I wasn't even watching that much. But now I'm enjoying it again. So
I'm enjoying it too. And what I just realized though, there's not a lot of suffering going on. Not
Mhm.
that I want these people to suffer. But now that I think about it too, I haven't seen them barely eating.
they said that like the merge is their first real food in a long time.
Well, it's other than that fish. I mean,
Right, the
but even
rewards.
other than that, they had nothing else.
they don't
right?
get
didn't-
they don't
no
get the rice anymore.
Yeah, okay. I just kind of thought about that. I'm like, you don't see, you know, they had the one day of rain. That was nothing
Mhm.
compared to what some of these other seasons have gone through.
Yeah.
You know, where you're cold and you're pruny for days.
I mean, well,
You know.
some of the seasons that, you know, when they didn't take place in Fiji anymore, they have like wild animals and
Mhm.
fire ants and quicksand and stuff. You know, that's back when Survivor really felt like they were surviving too.
Right.
Now it's more so just starving them on an island and then making them do challenges, which it's
Yeah.
still entertaining the strategic and stuff, but it is very different from when it once was. So,
Right.
And they have to for safety precautions and stuff too. So,
Right.
Um,
Right.
but
I mean, I didn't mind when they gave them the rice
no,
because they had to dole it out,
hmm
and they didn't get much.
they get those little shells that they make. Yeah,
and that was part of it too, where like, you know, you're making too much.
yeah.
You know,
And that led
we're gonna
into
go through it.
the surviving thing,
Yeah.
managing your resources. And if they did it and they had to ask Jeff for more, he'd basically eat their camp in exchange for more rice. So,
Yeah.
which is always funny watching people try to negotiate with him. So, but we don't get that anymore because they just starve them now. You basically only eat if you win rewards, and they don't do rewards every episode either. So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, not a lot of rewards in this season so far.
But so, with this episode, Caleb's safe after pulling off that big play. To his credit, J-Maya's gone, and so now we're even between Bello and Reba. They're tied at 5 original members each. Even though they're not all aligned with one another, it's still in the back of everyone's minds.
And I like that they're not.
And then you have the 2 Lulu in the middle. So so we're down to 12 people, and they are all officially merged now.
Right.
So the individual game begins. And from what I saw in the next episode, they're hinting at the war between the 2 factions, basically. But we'll see if it even comes to that. So.
Yeah. Tune in.
and because Jay is gone, it means Kelly and Austin now, instead of a regain a vote, they have a steal a vote each.
Oh, right.
With their amulets. So
okay, Austin and Kelly.
Yeah, they're the ones with those. Of course, Austin already has an immunity idol.
And
then Bruce has immunity idol.
Right.
And then Austin still has his leave tribal and save yourself and not vote.
Yeah.
Safety without power. That's what it's called. I always forget the name of it. I'm sure I'm missing something, but
I'm not sure. You know them better than I do.
Yeah, but a few people have some things to play with, so they got some toys. So, but yeah, I thought it was I think it's the best episode yet. Definitely,
yeah, I would agree.
And I think it'll continue like this for a while because now we have all these people together. So
right.
As always, I will ask you. I really thought this would go. Because I know you say Caleb every time I ask you this. I really thought you couldn't say him this time because he wouldn't be around anymore. But he's still here. So, who's your top 3 that you either think will win or you want to win?
Okay, but you're saying just 3. Right?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Any 3, whether
it be I think a win or want to win.
Based on what you're saying, like I like this person. I don't think they're gonna win, but I want them to, or. I'm not crazy about them, but it really looks like they have a chance kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the same 3 I think I've been saying. Caleb for sure. Emily for sure. I think Austin. I think I've said these 3 before.
I think that's like the 3 you've always had, which is fine. They're all still there anyway. It would get more interesting if we kept picking people who kept getting booted and we have to keep changing our minds.
Well, that would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. You?
I'm torn. I want to say Caleb because I would like to see him win. I just find it hard to... I want to say I find it hard to believe he could make it to Final 3 because they didn't even merge yet and he's already prime target number 1. But at the same time, people have made stupid mistakes before and let a guy like that just get by, and then he gets into a position where they go, "Oh, it's time to get rid of him," and then he starts winning or whatever, So I'm gonna try and be a little different from you because I'm already gonna say Emily and I'm already gonna say Austin because I really like both of them. I'm gonna say Kelly. I really think
we're related. We're probably gonna,
yeah.
Like the same people.
For right now, I'm going to keep Caleb on my back burner. So I do like him, but I don't think he can win, is what I'm saying. If he gets to the end, I think he wins.
Ye of little faith.
We'll see. Tell you what, if he gets to Final 5, I'll ride that ship with him to the end. So maybe even Final 7. For right now, I'm going to say Emily and I'm going to say Austin because Emily, I'm rooting for her. She's such like an underdog. Austin, I think he's hilarious and he's just a charming guy. And I'm going to keep saying Kelly because I think she's a really like underhanded pick. I don't know. We see enough of her to know what she's thinking but she's still, nobody's really worried about her, which could be a problem at some point. So, because if nobody's worried about her, everybody talks to her, whatever, we'll see what happens.
She's like the, I can't think of what I really want to say, what she is. I'm almost saying like silent but deadly.
Chameleon.
Yeah.
She's a vibe.
No, that's not. There's a word I can't think of it.
Okay.
If I think of it, I'll write it down and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. All right. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll be back next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.